This documentary takes a look at the sexual abuse female journalists face in Egypt and discuss what we can do to end the violence and attack on the press by comparing broadcast clips from America to Egypt, showing the mistreatment females face during live broadcast, and giving statistics about the media in Egypt. In order to properly understand the difference between an American and an Egyptian broadcast clip, here are two examples, one from TCU News Now and one from Nile News.
Good morning, Fort Worth, and welcome. I'm Meg Hemmerly, and this is TCU News Now. The Fort Worth voters will head to the polls May 7th to vote on Proposition 1. City Council members will serve an extra year and be a part of two budget processes with the new changes. The third year in office will create a more independent election cycle. The candidates running in May 2017 will be running for a 3-year term if the proposition passes. The May 7th charter election will also include a proposition to increase the salary of the Fort Worth mayor and city council members. The mayor's salary would increase from $29,000 to $60,000. Salary increases will start on October 1st, 2016. The salaries come from Fort Worth's general fund. There will be no tax increase this year for any reason. The 9 Texas-based frog camps will now be free for incoming freshmen. Frog camp used to cost between $200 and $250, but will now be free for the 160 to 350 students attending the Texas camps. The funding is coming from TCU's operating budget. Frog camp started 20 years ago and is something more than 80% of incoming freshmen typically participate in. TCU's new financial literacy program is holding its first annual TCU Money Week. 1 Million Reasons is providing financial advice and guidance to TCU students and faculty. The events range from a one-on-one financial fitness coaching to guest speakers. Students can win prizes as well as gain advice on finances and healthy living.
Here's a broadcast clip from Nile News, an Egyptian broadcast channel.
Welcome back. In order to update you regarding the latest developments on the second phase of Egypt's parliamentary elections, the Interior Ministry is currently following up the updates of the elections and, of course, providing full security. We have with us now Dina Houeda, who has with her Brigadier Hatem Fathi, the Director General of the International Affairs Administration in the Interior Ministry. Hello, Dina.
This video clip is very different from the Nile News station broadcast. Here we see a female reporter out in the field reporting live before getting physically attacked by the male bystanders. This is something that happens all too often in Egypt and is the main threat against female journalists. However, being a news anchor doesn't make you safe from sexual abuse or discrimination either. 8 women were fired from Egyptian Radio and Television Union for their appearance, being told they were overweight. The different forms of abuse done to female journalists in Egypt are endless. Lauren Bone wrote an article for Cosmopolitan.com reporting on what it is like to be a female journalist in the Middle East. In the article, she shares statistics about women getting harassed and abused in Egypt, saying 99% of women have been sexually harassed and 96.5% have been physically assaulted. Northwestern University in Qatar has conducted research surveys for the past 3 years about media in the Middle East. These 3 graphs show that 50% of Egyptians think the quality of news reporting in the Arab world has improved over the past 2 years, and 27% think news media in Egypt is credible and that Egypt can report news independently without interference from officials. Laura Logan is a CNN 60 Minutes reporter from South Africa who was attacked and raped while reporting in Egypt. Scott Pelley interviewed her about her experience.
This is what these people have been waiting for. They came here day after day. This is about freedom.
She reported without a hint of trouble for more than an hour.
And what happened then?
Our camera battery went down. And we had to stop for a moment, and suddenly Baha looks at me and says, "We've got to get out of here."
Baha is not happy here.
I was told later that they were saying, "Let's take her pants off." And it's like suddenly, before I even know what's happening, I feel hands grabbing my breasts, grabbing my crotch, grabbing me from behind. I mean, it's not, one person and then it stops. It's like one person and another person and another person. And I know Ray's right there and he's grabbing at me and screaming, "Lara, hold on to me, hold on to me."
As she was pulled into the frenzy, the camera recorded her shout.
Stop! And I'm screaming thinking, if I scream, if they know, they're going to stop. You know, someone's going to stop them, or they're going to stop themselves because this is wrong. And it was the opposite. The more I screamed, it turned them into a frenzy.
We may never know with certainty whether the regime was targeting a reporter or whether it was simply and savagely a criminal mob. It is true that in Egypt in particular, sexual harassment and violence are common.
Why are you telling this story now?
One thing that I'm extremely proud of, that I didn't intend, is when my female colleagues stood up and said that I'd broken the silence on what all of us have experienced but never talk about.
What did they mean by that?
That women never complain about incidents of sexual violence because you don't want someone to say, well, women shouldn't be out there. But I think there are a lot of women who experience these kind of things as journalists, and they don't want it to stop them from doing their job because they do it for the same reasons as me. They're committed to what they do. They're not adrenaline junkies. You know, they're not glory hounds. They do it because they believe in being journalists.
Now to get a TCU student journalist perspective on the dangers of female journalists in the Middle East and what we can do in America for it. So Nicole, tell me why you wanted to be a journalist in the first place.
I really wanted to go into journalism, more towards editorial actually. I feel that that's my strong suit. I want to pursue a career in writing, and I'd love to write advice columns for a magazine like Cosmo or Vogue, and just really go into something where girls can learn about fashion, trends going on in everyday life, and things like that.
Going into journalism, do you have any fears that comes from sexual abuse or sexism or anything like that when out reporting or even in the workplace?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I feel like as females, just in general, we are at a negative, we just are viewed in a negative light, and I feel like there's not as much equality in the world. And I mean, overseas, we see every day, like, journalists being exploited. They're in a dangerous field all the time. And I mean, even here in America, people like Megyn Kelly, I mean, she's viewed as just almost like a sexist object, and most people don't take her seriously for the news that she's reporting, but rather what she's wearing.
And going forward, what do you think we can do to help fix the gap and to fight for equality in journalism?
I think just making people aware of what's going on, and that, like, yes, America has made great strides, but we just still have such a long way to go, and playing out the field and things like that, and just maybe strengthening whatever security we do have for female journalists overseas, because I know a lot of them are in such a dangerous workforce.
Thank you. The attack of female journalists and mistreatment of women in Egypt is something that needs to change. This is an important issue that should be recognized by other nations because today's mass media has made and allowed for journalism to become a global matter. Egypt is just one of the many countries that disrespects its female journalists.